Okay, we're back here on Inside seatac, Dirty Politics. And so I had to make my little notes because I want to make sure I stay on my topic. But I want to, what is this? Start off with the smaller subject and get that one out the way, which is Pam Bernald. Now, right now, you, in a sense, are left with two people who are running, which are Pam Fernald and Iris Guzman. Now, the question is, how do you vote? Do you vote on integrity? Do you vote on um, the fact that someone gives you what you want and suppresses other people's voices or rights? Uh, you know, but we're going to talk a little bit about that, about Pam. But first, I'm going to kind of address a little bit of what happened between me, Pam, and myself. So, and I have to read some of my notes as I go. So, in my campaigning, what I have learned about Pam, and when I say what I have learned about Pam, is from constituents or voters or my fellow citizens who have had experiences with Pam, as well as I'm going to mention what happened with me and things. But what I've learned about Pam is that she is a very vindictive councilwoman. While I thought I was running to keep Jake and Irish from bringing Seattle's ideas, we have an enemy of the community in council already. Everyone knows Pam is emotional. If you watch the videos, if you've even really met her and things, she's pretty much like Peter says, an emotional basket case. But it's like almost like you say Pam is just Pam kind of thing. But I guess that when I think about it and I see how other people have been affected and hurt, that's not really acceptable and not cool. Um, Pam votes emotionally. She does not vote for what people would say a conservative side because she's a soft Democrat, which is what our why our city council prefers her. That it's easy to play on her emotions, and all you have to do is say some fear thing of, oh, they're coming to take away the seniors and they're going to move them all out. It could be a false statement, but because she's so emotionally connected to the senior community, like face it, she's a senior herself and things, then it's like, okay, well, she's going to be gripped with fear and she's not going to do that research herself to make sure this is a true statement or get an understanding of that. She's going to vote that way because she's just easy to be puppeteered like that. She does not have a strong advocate voice in the community. She just has more of a emotional, and you can touch if you can bring your story and touch her emotional strings. She's there for you for that moment. But if somebody can turn her against you with their emotional strings, then she's your enemy. So she doesn't know whether she's coming or going with her emotions. When I spoke with her about my ideas for CTAC back in September 2020, um, and we did speak because there have been platforms where she said we didn't speak, and then when I say, but remember we said this, and then she's like, oh yeah, oh I remember you, that kind of thing. So I don't know. Perhaps she has a memory. She's starting to lose her memory. So then it's almost like, why is she there if she can't really remember much, or if she has to go back and keep backpedaling and apologizing after she snaps at people in the community because you see her on platforms, she snaps at people. Then she comes back and then she's like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm sorry." After it sounds like they were where she didn't realize that somebody might have been speaking for her and having her back, and she attacked them. Then it's like, "Oh, well, you was having my back. Okay, I'm sorry now then, and but you can go to hell." So she doesn't know whether she's coming or going in her emotions. And I know people might want to say almost the same for Iris and stuff, but Iris actually has a something she's advocating for. It's something that we don't agree with. We may or may not, because some of you agree with it, some of us don't. But she's advocating for something. I'll give her that. Pam's just advocating for her emotions. and her ego, in which we all have an ego, but no, she runs on ego only. Um, but when I met with her, she claimed that she was impressed because I had talked to her about my history of how I try to get people to change their perception, whether it's their perception of cops, and learn to build a relationship, the community and the police, to build a relationship. I know police reach out and set up platforms for people to come to coffees. Like I had coffee with the police over here in the Tequila coffee shop once, and those type of things. But sometimes we have to also be willing to be a little open to receive, give forgiveness, and also work together. And so I work with those type of things and situations, especially having been through some traumatic ones, and people would never know that I've been through those traumatic things unless you ever sat down and even saw some of the scars on me, and wonder how did I forgive, and find out that those same people that I had the traumatic experience with are my biggest supporters. But but she claimed she was impressed with me, and that she, with the whole thing that was going on through this pandemic and the Black Lives Matter and her and Stan being attacked, that if I was to run, that they would be supportive of me taking their seat because they want a break. And and they're seniors, they want to relax. She does not remember that, which I could care less. Is my word against hers. That's fine. Um, but even Peter Kwan told me that, because my reason for originally approaching her was because Peter Kwan told me to go talk with her to get her comfortable with me, her being me to be able to take her seat, because she told him the same thing. She wanted to retire, and but only if there was somebody good to take her place. Now, little did I know she was smiling in my face and didn't really feel that way. And, she might have been talking out of her emotions that day. I pulled on her emotional strings, and she was supportive, and then somebody else must have. And Peter is the only one I can think, because nobody else don't have a reason in this community to go and pull her emotional strings another way. And I say that because I have no family here. Only people I brought here is my kids and my dad. Everybody else I have lives across country. I don't So that's why I said, with the little resources that I had, I don't really, anybody that I know doesn't much live inside um, SeaTac, and the ones that I know are my homeschool community that are inside SeaTac. But Peter knows this. However, people's experience with Pam is that when they complain to council, she does come out and address situations, but however, she turns around and retaliates. This could come in the form of having people fined constantly, or she can harass you through some type of reporting you to senior division. I'll mention her a little bit in another situation, but she'll report you to the senior division to have you taken off programs. Um, it's a lot of things that people have told me that Pam has done to them after they address the city council, and she's harassed them in other ways. She To me, that's abuse of authority as a city council person. And but if somebody that is on city council abusing their authority to hurt my fellow neighbors, that hurts, because if I was in that situation, I would want somebody to advocate for me, or say that, look, she hurts you, she hurts me, because we're a community. We're not here to be your puppets, or we're not your peasants. There's no high and mighty throne here. This is city council. To me, are people made up of people from my community, not gods and goddesses. And that's what she's made herself to be. And I have seen these people's proof, and that everything coincidentally happens after she has been to their to resolve their situations. And some have witnessed her even um, collecting evidence and telling them what she's going to do with it. Now, these people can come forward if they want to, or if they want me to give this information to any news outlet that contacts me, I am willing to pass your information along as well, aside from the other people that I'm going to be mentioning their stuff in this video. So, like I said, what type of person are we wanting? Yes, Iris Guzman is a fireball. And Pam, so we can go with Pam, who votes out of emotion, not necessarily because she cares about her fellow citizens, and she abuses her authority. Um, and she has some good, since she's the emotional instrument. We have some good musicians on city council apparently that knows how to play her. And like I said, though I'm not a fan of Iris Guzman, at least I know what Iris Guzman stands for and what she's passionate about. My thing is to ask Iris Guzman is, despite what you are passionate about and stand for, are you going to be there to look at the whole picture and find ways to compromise? Like I said, I believe in diversity of thinking. I don't believe that a council should be all conservative thinking, all Democrat thinking or progressive thinking. I think that there should be a mixture because you're representing everyone in this community. So that way, if there's that mixture, then it's a, okay, well, I'm representing this group of people type of thinking, but maybe we can compromise in this order. Or there's some things that are just moral standards that you just don't compromise on, which is understandable because you can't please everybody all of the time. But sometimes there are going to be times that a side has to give, but it shouldn't be a lose lose all the time, which is kind of what I do see. Always a lose lose, that nobody's actually, even myself, giving anybody the opportunity to really speak and lay out things. And why I say giving myself is because whenever I've gotten information, it's been information prior to um, hearing Sinayet or Tequili get the opportunity to say anything, because we've already been divulged information of what they're going to say, and this is why you don't want it. So therefore, they don't never get to really fully say what they're going to present, and we've already made the notion based off of manipulated information of how to think and feel about this person. And don't be mad at me, but Sakili, when you get overwhelmed, we kind of don't understand what you're saying. So it kind of gets, it's almost like Peter knows you. Peter's very skilled at, he knows his enemies, and he knows how to utilize what your weaknesses are against you to make his point of a little bit of truth and sprinkle it with a whole bunch of deception, make you look bad. So when I stop and actually sit back and look without the mindset of, I've been given this information ahead of time, and you're coming to bring union, Seattle. When I stop thinking with that mindset and just sit back and just listen, on some of your posts, you actually make sense of things. And granted, I'm not talking about the this is a racist council type post, but like when we talk about issues, a lot of people tend to skim over this is a race, anything with racism, because I think the whole last year drained people. So some people turn a deaf ear, and then some people have gotten frustrated at being a finger being pointed at them, of false accusations being made at them because they were being lumped into a group that they were not part of. And so that's why those people tend to tune out and then only tend to judge you for just that as ranting as opposed to actually seeing that there are some subjects that we can have discussions on and perhaps even maybe negotiate since that's what your job is, a negotiator. And I don't think people really realize what your career is and respect that. They just see you as you're shoving something down their throat rather than that you guys are actually have been really bullied and nobody sees the bullying because we have a God on board on our council that is knows how to throw a rock and looks like he's the problem solver and that he's the only one that is smart in this community. Oh, I'm gonna talk about that too because he basically thinks we're dumb. But I guess today I'm gonna be on the ugly end of the stick because people don't like when you address the pink elephant in the room. Nobody wants to see their truth, especially when that truth is what you do hurts other people and they want to continue comfortably living their life not and and be blind and pretend to be blind to other people's needs and shouldn't be that way. This is a community. City council is not federal. It's not where the bigger levels of politics, they can't really care about your community because they have a lot of other things on their plate. So, which is why it's broken down into city, and those cities bring that to the county, and the county brings that to the state, like, and so on and so forth. Because the broader it is, they can't individually care about you. But when you get down to city and city politics, that's where it's a little bit more personal because the people on that council are our neighbors. At least I would like to think that they're our neighbors and that they want the best for this community because we all live in this community and that we all want to be um have a harmonious community. We all want to learn to agree to disagree, but still respect that inclusivity means that like when I was in the military, we have a common area. Doesn't matter what your religious background, political background, what it is that you like to do. If the common area, like a kitchen, is a common area, you're all equally allowed to utilize that kitchen. You can't not tell somebody they can't cook this type of food or they can't do that in this kitchen because it's a community space. Now, when you go into your barracks room, now, what you doing there? And if I come in your barracks room, then I have to respect whatever your rules are in there. If you have a specific religious belief and all of that, that's your business. When you're in your home, when you're at your religious institution, all of those things. But when it comes to our community, we're all in this together, despite what our backgrounds or our differences are. We don't have a right to me, some of you may feel like disagree. We don't have a right to manipulate information and suppress information from our community and our fellow neighbors. So that way, because we think or our council thinks that this is what we think is best for everybody, but we know that they're not going to think that if we give them all the truth and, and they're not, if we give them all the truth, then they're not going to vote the way we want them to vote. That's not fair, especially if the majority of council is thinking that everything should be only one way. Or, and I don't want to say majority of council because to me, it still goes back to one person who's good at manipulating information. Like I say, so it's like almost who do you vote for? Do you vote for the emotional candidate who hurts our neighbors knowingly, or do you vote for the candidate who's passionate and you just don't agree with her and you just dislike her? Or there's always, you can still write myself and Kanye. Kong was running against Iris and Pam, so you would still write him in, and I was running against Stan and Jake, so you still write me in there. Those are also an option. But like I said, those are the two options you're down to when it comes to that, which reminds me of something Peter Kwan once told me. When I met him, in fact, the first meeting, he said seatac's average family highest level of school completion is high school diploma. They're not capable of making good voting decisions. Therefore, he plays the role that he does. That conversation kind of went over my head at the time, and I thought I understood his reason as to why CTEC does not deserve transparency, a transparent city council. And and I'm saying this looking back at the way I was thinking, that's I do think that I do think that CTEC deserves a transparent city council, but for me to go along with that thinking, I look back and say that I was kind of being a part of it without realizing that that's what I'm doing, of feeling the same way that CTEC doesn't deserve a transparent city council, because he made some good points and brings some good statistics to the table. Which one of his reasoning was that the less education you have, the crappier this city would be, and um, and he knows that based on statistics. Like he said, Bellevue has a lot of people with higher degrees, like bachelors and different things, and so therefore Bellevue has a good city. Um, Look at Seattle. They don't have good degrees. So they run that city crappy. So when people are here and we only have high school level education, doesn't mean that there aren't other people with other degrees, but he's just saying statistically average in this area is high school diploma. Therefore, we would have a crappy city if we have those people voting on decisions that affect this city. What I realized, what I look back at it, what I realized he was saying is that CTEC has a bunch of dummies living in it, that if they had the right of to informed choice and not manipulated or information that lacks all the truth, then he would have no control over the city, is how I really view that. And it's not like our city council doesn't know that Peter Kwan does this. Everyone knows that information is manipulated on that city council. In fact, here's a text message of one of your city council. I'm blocking them off because I really don't at this moment have a reason to come for that person.